The reason Phonetic couldn't make me chase the third time was also found. Turns out Big B and Little Prince haven't leveled up. Truly it. I wonder if you've ever encountered some gang gene, lever money? When you say what peripherals are useful, they immediately retort to you, if it works, so why aren't there any pro players using it? I usually don't want to talk back about things like this, because the mouse really is a skill of thousands of people. Domestic mice are indeed quite niche for professional players abroad. However, among the recent 5 contract champions, I've seen quite a few domestic mice on the market, and things are getting better, especially the ATKF1 series, although Fnatic ultimately failed to concede and successfully chase the mountain. Let's set aside the big shots and not talk about the Little Prince's performance. At least he could punch and strike. Since the ATKF1 mouse was released, it's always been inside ATK mice. Big brother. Whether bloggers or players, basically no one says his mold is bad. There are negative reviews possibly related to quality control. However, ATK's recent quality control and sales have also been flawless. You can pick now. This upgrade I think it's really huge. It comes with a dual 54LF1 chip. For me, the biggest complaint is its battery life. I am the user of the Master Edition and Explorer Edition that launched this mouse. If you use it for 8K high-intensity use, basically charge twice a day, you recharge once in the morning, but at night you have to recharge again. This is really hard to support. Okay, the 54L range improvement is truly astonishing. Basically, you can refill every 5 or 6 days. Battery life is really several times more annoying. Let's take a look at the mouse. The F1 V2 still uses the same mold as the V1. Anyway, I haven't used the mold to make any differences. I also think the F1 mold is already excellent enough. There's really no need to make any changes. Of course, many people probably haven't used it, so let me briefly explain. Its long night width is 117.7, waist width about 56.6 times, storage width 62 times, height 39.2. The button cover is 14 centimeters tall and weighs about 39 grams. It belongs to the mold of a medium to small mold. When it first came out, many people say it's like a Mini SE, bought by Trix at the time. I haven't used the Mini SE myself, but later when I started using the Mini SE, I compared them. I found that it didn't seem like that either. Honestly, I think it's a bit more comfortable than the Mini SE, and the changes are significant. There's really no need to lean toward tearful or tearful moments. It has no reference value. The curve of the back of his mouse is very rounded, and its highest point is at the center just a little further back. I am 18.5 hands long. When my palm pressed against mine, it feels very comfortable to apply pressure to both large and small strokes. This is a record of great and small, a feeling of holding the mouse. The palm of the palm is slightly empty. He made a big hit with a single stick. It is definitely one of the best among this type of mouse. Do not press the proper fit. At the same time, the base of the pinky finger also provides a bit of support, combined with the curves of his waist on both sides. The ring finger and little finger are just right when bent and can support the finger. It's not like being suspended or just stuck on paper. The difference in width and waist width is at least 3 millimeters. If you add too much, it will get stuck in your index finger and the top paper, and if you don't have enough, its sense of locking is also much reduced. The grip type this mouse is best suited for, I think it's just grabbing and dancing. This kind of grab dance is the most comfortable. The nameless little finger, preferably in a bending style. You can hold your thumb flat or hold it with a button. For this kind of I recommend the 17 to 19.5 range. Basically, they are all usable. I have 18.5 hands on my hand. You can see there's still a bit of reserve space, about 19.5 million yuan. I think this mouse is pushing its hand to its limit. Other grips like the inward and front grip mouse can also be used. But I don't think this mouse can be used. A ring finger is the predecessor and the one holding the knee. When your ring finger was in the past, your pinky couldn't fit into the mouse at all. Unless you are the predecessor of your ring finger with your pinky inward. If you insist on holding it this way, it's not impossible. Fear is the same. Because the mouse's rear curve is made outward. When your ring finger is the protege, your pinky will definitely be pressed against the base of the finger. The pinky needs to be used against the base of the finger. So I don't really recommend using this predecessor. Ways to grasp other details of the mold. No changes were made. His focus remains on a more centered layer. To be honest, I use it no different from the previous generation. The kick also hasn't been upgraded to a big kick and a switch button. Let's take a closer look at the teardown. After opening it, what surprised me most wasn't the chip upgrade, but the battery. It actually has such a small, high-density battery. No wonder the entire mouse weighs under 40 grams. Plus, it offers a 300 mAh battery life. This battery upgrade, I think this is a very big highlight this time. Another key point, of course, is that the main controller uses a dual 54L chip. Two 54L chips are made of 8T8 bidirectional 8-track tracks. The transmission button delay is controlled at 0.3 size on the plane. Inside, I think the best part is still the battery life. If you run a DK, can increase battery life to over 250 hours. I think it's far more than just a performance improvement. It's even more intuitive and the most noticeable in terms of user experience. So I also recommend other manufacturers. All use the 54L chip and the current range control of the 54H series. Honestly, everyone is just average, but for those hard-to-notice performance improvements, I think the improved range is something more people really need. The Micro Switch uses ATK's custom lighting. The Micro Scroll Wheel is a height 9 DC crystal wheel. These combinations are fairly standard. The top cover has a groove in the middle of the button cover. It's used to make left-right alignments and it's done quite well. The left and right wobble of the button cover. The control is pretty good. The side buttons use TC's 2-pin corner blue dot small side buttons. The side buttons also feel crisp and crisp. The mouse wasn't made with silicone during class to cushion the vibration. The buttons are quite crisp and crisp. A structural bond is also used to ensure its strength. Its structural keys are indeed a bit harder than the first generation. Because when I bought the first generation of the first release, this group testing system is still very prone to anomalies. However, the ATK has been slightly upgraded in terms of product quality. Okay, that's about it for our teardown. Driving the anti-flash attack. The new ATK driver UI is really quite comfortable. I think it's domestic. Why is it called Top 2? I won't go into it. Alright, keep it up. Supports a deadly competitive firmware program. Competitive firmware with over 20,000 static frame rates. I suggest adding an extra battery life reminder to the driver. When choosing different rounds of transport rates, you can display a range of endurance times. Some beginners can more easily estimate the mouse's battery life. Parameter adjustment includes sensor rotation angle adjustment, load height adjustment in steps of 0.1. All of them also have button stabilization stepping points. I also recommend making it a regulation method highly similar to load. Users can freely adjust, press, and stabilize with delay. Overall, do you like this upgrade? They give you more portions and no extra charge. The Master Edition still starts at $299. There are also 4 colors to choose from. I personally prefer blue. Unfortunately, what I got was a white one, but it was still quite a sight. The method also includes giving away a single ATK X83 monthly point. I got this electronic card during internal testing. I've been using it for almost 2 months. I think the feel is very comfortable. If you are a grip player with a hand length of 17 to 19, if you're just planning to change your mouse, I highly recommend you try this one ACVEV 2. Its mold, quality control, battery life, and performance. There's also a 2-year after-sales service. Basically, it's maxed out for you. That's all for this video. I'm Sancho. Then let's get our hopes high.